what is up, everybody? Welcome into the Porch, a Volquest baseball podcast, and this will be the final Porch of the season. And it's pretty neat because it's the final weekend of the season. This is it. There's no more college baseball after Monday, potentially Sunday. No more college baseball for 2024. So we have gone from mid-February all the way towards almost the end of June, talking Tennessee baseball every single week here on the Porch, and I couldn't do it without my friends over at Spivey King and Spivey LLP. Really do appreciate them for being a proud sponsor of the show and for making all this possible. You got a problem, let them find a solution for you. That's TN Trial Lawyers. They specialize in criminal defense, family law, and personal injury, examples of which can be DUI, assault, divorce, alimony, personal injury such as car wrecks, all that and more. You can give them a phone number, or you can give them a free call today for a consultation at 423-245-4185, or visit them online at SpiveyKingandSpiveyLLP.com. Spivey King and Spivey LLP, for the second straight year, being a proud sponsor of the Porch, and again, a big thank you to them. So here we are, Omaha. This has been, if you're watching on YouTube, this has been where I've been for the last week and some change, right? Tennessee on Saturday night, 7:30, is going to take part in Game 1 of the College World Series from Charles Schwab Field here in Omaha. Second time ever Tennessee's truly playing for a national championship. Back in 1951, you remember that game, right? It was just one game, wasn't a series. Tennessee came up short 3-2 to Oklahoma, but this will be the best of a three-game series. Whoever gets the 2 wins first, and it'll be Tennessee against Texas A&M, where Tennessee did take down Texas A&M. It was a one-off, but it was in the SEC tournaments, and really can't wait to watch and see what's in store. So to get us set for all of that and more, let's bring on the star of the show. That is Luke Lipcius, former Tennessee first baseman, former Tennessee home run champion, co-host here of The Porch. Luke, how you feeling, man? You got to be a proud Tennessee alum and really proud of your guys in that dugout.
Yeah, I'm sitting there watching the game and I'm kind of telling myself, like, there's no way you get that excited anymore. But then, there's double plays, big hits, and whatever it is. And yeah, and we'll not even talk about Friday just yet. But like I'm referencing the last game. I just get up, I'm pumping my fist. I'm like, dang, I'm still into it. But yeah, it's something super cool, especially for that program, for Tony V, who has worked so hard to get here. It's so crazy just how far he's come. With what little time he has as just like been in baseball, it's close to 20 years. He's 40 now, or whatever he is. He's so young and he's already making such big strides. And it's so funny because we all talked about it. He says that, like, I know it's not really relevant, but he says he won't get a girlfriend until he wins a championship. So by God, I hope he gets a girlfriend after this weekend. But yeah, I'm just so proud of those guys. It's been so fun to watch them this season. And this team is truly unlike any other Tennessee team that I've seen before, and just how they carry themselves. And I think they have a really, really good shot at taking it all.
So let's start right there. You said how they carry themselves and all that, but I mean, you guys carried yourselves really well in 2022. You guys in 2021 were the first to come here for the first time since 2005. You guys carried yourself pretty well. What's different about this team to make you say that?
I don't know. And I've said it a bunch, is they're just so stoic in the way they do things. You can even tell by that last win against Florida State. It was just, literally another game. There was, some excitement. We saw that big screen let out by Kirby with the strikeout. But it's one of those things where they are winning ball games and doing it as if they know they're supposed to do it, but also as if it's like, hey, we got more to go. And now that's not to say that at the end of this, if they come out on top, that they won't, dogpile and cry and scream and blah, 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 whatever it is. But this team is it's a really good mix of talent and also kind of that composure that you need to make a really, really far run in the playoffs. And that's what I've seen. And, not that 2022 team didn't have composure, but emotions take the best of us, and you just we were at such a high, like a high of highs, that I don't know if we knew really how to calm down, which this team, they're really just consistent because they're staying so even keel with their emotions.
Before we get into what Tennessee's done already here in Omaha, 3-0 record, first 2-0 start in Omaha history for Tennessee in 7 tries, and of course tacked on another one heading into the College World Series Finals against Texas A&M. I didn't tell you I was going to do this, and it's like, who am I to do this? I mean, you and your teammates already know all this, but like, we've said this. Tony's said this so many different times. Like everything, that the last couple of years, these teams have experienced. New locker rooms, new uniforms, stadium renovations. Like you guys built it. You guys were setting that culture and won games, and then like it's trickled down and onto this. But so your teams in 2020 and 2019 and 2021 have gotten so much credit, but like, have you taken a second just to sit there and say, wow, this team is truly 2 wins away from winning a national championship? And yeah, I'm not a part of this team anymore, but like me and my teammates are a big reason for it, right? I mean, it's got to be just a real surreal feeling for you and some of the other guys, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, we in that 2021 year when we made it to Omaha, I feel like that's when it hit the most. It was like, okay, the guys that had been there since 2017, that's when we finally took our sigh of relief, and we're like, holy moly, we did it! Like this program is officially turned around. And from that point on, it was almost like we knew that Tony V was going to put together good team after good team after good team. So we really expected it. But then, like I said earlier, chills after that Sunday win. It's 2 wins away from winning Omaha, from having a 60-win season. It really is so crazy to think how far this program has come in such a short time span. Like when you look at it, 7 years is not a long time to completely turn around a program from going last in the SEC to now number 1 overall seed, looking to break the curse in Omaha. And so it's so cool to be part of those integral, foundational teams. Tony V pays so much respect to those teams. And that's another thing why I love him, is he's never going to forget about, who got him there, as if it was just us. He got himself there along with the other guys. But it's the pride I feel for the Vols right now is something crazy, and I'm just so proud of what the coaching staff is doing and what those guys are doing out on the field.
Tennessee becomes the first number 1 overall seed to play in the College World Series finals since 2009. Tennessee, of course, has the opportunity to be the first number 1 overall seed to win the whole thing, since Miami did it the first year it expanded to 64 in 1999. I mean, there's a lot in front of you. Of course, it'd be the first national championship in Tennessee baseball history. I was talking to somebody at SEC Unfiltered this week, and I pretty much said, where would you, and this could be subject to change after this weekend, depending on if Tennessee wins it or not, but I'm like, Tony Vitello's got to be in the first or second name mentioned in terms of best coach in college baseball right now and all that. And he was like, let me answer it this way. If I was starting a program from scratch, there's nobody else I would want leading that program other than Tony Vitello in this era, this climate, and of course, just knowledge of the game. It feels like a national championship would just, put the cherry on top to what everybody already thinks about Tony Vitello, is he's probably the best coach in the country right now.
Yeah, and the stats back him up. I saw something. Well, not only do we have the most wins in college baseball since 2021, they're averaging 52 wins a season. And that is just with Tony V at the helm, and you know he's getting good players, but to bring groups of kids together like that year after year after year, of course he's the best coach right now, and it's not even close. And as far as starting or turning a program around, we already know that he can do that because he's done that. Tony V is I wouldn't say making waves, because he's already done that. It's like he's one big tsunami, and that everyone's just taking cover when he walks to the field. But yeah, he's definitely the best coach right now, and it sucks because he should win the National Coach of the Year every year, but you gotta throw some other people in there. It's just when you get consistent, you're not going to win it anymore. You get your one time in 21 or 22, I think it was back to back. But then it's like what he's doing goes so, I don't want to say underappreciated or not known about, because everyone knows about him, but it's like he's done it so many times before that what he's doing isn't like recognized to the fullest extent of how truly great it is,
Yeah, no doubt. And one of my favorite things about this is not that he cares about this at all. I wouldn't think that he cares, but people from afar that just saw, you guys get so excited and put on fur coats and hats and bat flips and all that didn't just start in 2022, but you guys kind of took that to a next level. created a lot of enemies. And people were like, oh, Tony Vitello, a villain. Oh, we hate Tony Vitello. But then, like, the more and more as the years go by, it's kind of like, oh, that guy knows baseball. That guy does it the right way. That guy, when your team's dogpiling in Hoover, he's going over and shaking hands with Jay Johnson and LSU. Like, I just think it's kind of unique how the narrative a little bit around Tony is kind of changing as the years go on. It's like, oh, this dude's a baseball guy. He's not just some villain. He obviously knows his stuff. And I don't know. That's just kind of a sidebar that I found kind of interesting, especially this year. Friday, historic win for Tennessee. Started off hot. Tennessee threw the first punch. Florida State came back, led by as many as, 9-4. And a 4-run bottom of the ninth inning. Tennessee walks it off. Dylan Dryland with the walk-off single. Christian Moore, the second ever cycle in College World Series history. I mean, that game was incredible. The best game in Tennessee history to date, in my opinion. Of course, if you win a national championship, that would supersede it. But what an opening win on Friday night in Omaha for Tennessee over Florida State.
You said it that way. Hold on. Okay, you said it. That was easily the best win in Tennessee baseball history and close to Tennessee athletics history just because of how it happened. Like you said, it had a little bit of everything. We got out ahead first, and from that point on, you think, oh, my God, it might be a blowout. Florida State comes back, and then they come back even more. And then they get so far ahead that we're just sitting there. It's like, oh, my God, like I guess you start looking ahead. What's great about Tony V is I don't think, and I think the way that the College World Series is set up allows this to happen a lot better than, just a normal 3-game series or even a tournament like Hoover, is that you have that off day in between games so you can go full throttle with your bullpen and not really have to face the repercussions. Because we threw the entire kitchen sink at them. We threw just guy after guy after guy after guy. And you want to say what they need to do, but I mean, 11 runs is not very good. It's
baseball, man, and Florida State's here for a reason, and they were damn good.
And that's what I'm
nothing
saying.
worked until Snead went in.
Yeah, Florida State's scoring 10 runs a game in the NCAA tournament. They're just doing what they're doing. But the way the tournament set up played so much into our advantage because then Tony V didn't have to worry about saving guys for tomorrow because you had a day's rest so they could just come back better. But yeah, coming back like the way they did, and it wasn't just, hit after hit after hit. It was work a count, hit. It was get a walk, hit. And then, the check swing for Burke. I know it was being a baseball guy and playing in it. I just know that if I'm an umpire, there's absolutely no way that I am calling him out on that. Like it was, yeah. I think it was as close to 50-50 as it could be. And everyone's like, oh, is bat past the plate? Well, yeah, it's about really breaking the wrist plane. Because, I could throw my hand so far out front of the plate, the bat's still behind me. It doesn't matter. So the whole pass in the plate is not a valid argument. But in that instance, I think that was the exact correct call. Because even if it was the Florida State guy and I'm, on Tennessee side, I'm like, all right, I get it. Like you can't call him out in that instance. And of course the game knows. So obviously it was a ball after what Burke did with the 2 RBI single. And then of course, Dreiling, he caps it off with that amazing backside double. But just overall, that game was so up and down. And then the way it ended, it was just something so crazy. And if they don't win that game, there's absolutely no way they get to the championship. Like that game, it's almost the exact scenario of the 2021 regional where you come back late. If you lose that game, you're just out. Emotionally you're out. So I'm actually surprised that Florida State did what it did. It takes a lot of guts and mental fortitude to come back from a loss like that and make it all the way back to the little mini regional championship.
Yeah, man, the check swing heard around the world. Oh my gosh. It is about as close, if not was a swing. It was as close as it possibly could be. But, I see people complain on Twitter and everything, and that's fine. That's what fandom's all about. It's like, oh, you lost this game. No, Florida State lost this game because they gave up 4 runs in the 9th inning.
Exactly.
Exactly. That's why Florida State lost this game. And, Tennessee had a balk call to win against them in the top half of that frame when Tony Vitello went irate. I mean, those are judgment calls, and that's the sport. And if you're an FSU fan, you have every right to be griping right now. That's fair. But, also Tennessee fans have a right to gripe about the balk call in the 9th inning. It just kind of is how it goes sometimes. And I talk with a lot of people too, and they said the exact same thing you said. It's like no umpire worth his salt would ever end a game like that. You let the players in the game,
Exactly. Let the players play.
and I credit Burke too for staying in that moment, taking advantage of that moment, and coming through. And then in the Sunday game, it's not the same umpire. They ring him up on a check swing that he was
Yeah.
nowhere close to being a swing. I was like, oh my gosh, if I'm an FSU fan right now, I am beside myself.
Oh my God. They just had to do that to be like, you know what, maybe we didn't get it last time. We're gonna get him this time. But yeah, that what in that situation, Omaha and everything, what he did just to come through with a 2 RBI single. And I guarantee you V said something of the sort of most walk-offs are won with a single up the middle or something, because that's what he always said to us. And that's exactly what it took. And I know it wasn't the winning hit, but it might as well have been.
Christian Moore did something that only one person had ever done in College World Series history. That was hit for the cycle. He had that thing locked up in the 6th inning. Comes around in the 9th inning and doubles and scores the game-tying run. We continue to bring Christian Moore up. I mean, what more can you say about that guy? It's just a phenomenal season. But, I mean, history. And earlier this week on my Locked On Vols podcast, I was kind of not debating. Okay, I was debating like which performance is better: Jalen Hyatt, Alabama, 5 touchdowns, one of Dalton Connect's games this year, or is it Christian Moore? And like, you can't take anything away from those other ones because those were elite. Like what Hyatt did against Alabama, what football means to this university, what a win over Alabama means. I mean, that is huge. But like, this is the College World Series, and he made history. Like, to me, it's no contest. But like, I mean, it just kind of puts into perspective the type of dude he is, and he's going to be a top 15 pick. He was mocked at 12 to the Red Sox the other day over at ESPN, and he's tearing it up here in Omaha.
Dude, I mean, 5 hits against a midweek team is tough to do, and 5 hits with a cycle against a midweek team is tough to do. And he's doing it on the biggest stage in the entire nation. So kudos to him. I think it just caps off any wonder about what kind of player he is. He is that guy that is gonna just mash baseballs, play good defense, and dude, the kid can just swing. Now, I was talking with some people earlier on this debate. Is Christian Moore the best player in Tennessee baseball history?
I mean, he's in the conversation for sure, but like,
I mean, it's crazy, and you want to say yes because like stats wise, he's so dang good, but then like Todd Helton is literally like Mr. Tennessee, which sucks because he was so dang good.
You have a Major League Baseball Hall of Famer that's like, hello, I'm still here.
Yeah.
But again, even if you're mentioned in the same breath, like in the same conversation as the Todd Heltons, the R.A. Dickies, the Chris Burks, I mean, it's like, dude, I mean, Connors Holloway, it's like, man, like I'm doing something right. And, when Tennessee gets its new uniforms next year, I'm pretty sure, like, maybe you have more insight on this. Like, you have the 3, the 1, and the, I forgot what the other number is, that's like retired, but like,
Yeah.
Simo's wearing number 1 right now.
Number
like,
one,
it's,
yeah.
like next year, apparently it's going to be taken out of circulation. So, Simo is going to be the last person to ever wear number 1 for Tennessee, and I mean it's deserving. But just what a year! What a year! You go to Sunday, and we needed Drew Beam to bounce back and be Drew Beam, and boy was he! Right? I mean he was. I don't want to say vintage, but because it's not like we haven't seen it in a while. He's pitched really, really well at times this year. But he was Drew Beam. He was attacking. He was confident. Working really, really well with nobody on base. Got in some trouble a little bit. Gosh, Hunter Rensley's catch. I know that wasn't exactly, when he was in trouble, but he had some good defense behind him. Thought Drew Beam was really good, and then since I brought it up, Hunter Rensley's catch. My goodness, man. I mean, you've seen a lot of great defensive plays in baseball over your years. That's one of the better ones simply because he was sprinting, made the catch, and then just bulldozed into that wall. I mean, what an effort. That just, like, not that you're not always giving effort, but, like, season on the line, Omaha, like, it's awesome, man. It's what people tune in to see.
Yeah, I'll start with Beam. What he did was awesome, just pitching to contact. It was crazy. They would keep on showing blips, and it was like 23 strikes and 2 balls at one time, and that just means you're locked in. And it also means, credit to the UNC offense. They did hit the ball fairly well. It was just, right at people when it was in the air, or, we're making the catches into the wall or whatever. But like you said, it was the Beam that we've come to expect, and you just love to see it come at when you need it most. And so it was so good to see him, especially how quickly he ran through the lineup. I really thought he was going to have 70 pitches through 9. He did run into some trouble, but he was able to stifle it, keep it to 1. But then Ensley, it takes a different kind of mindset to know you're going to go like hit a wall full speed and still catch a baseball, hold it in your glove, and then get up as if nothing happened. Like, I thought that at least a shoulder would have been out of socket, maybe a knee dislocated. Like, that guy went full speed. And I know there's padding on the wall, but it's almost like, it's like putting one of those mattress toppers on a piece of concrete and like falling from 2 stories. Like, you're going as fast as you can into a hard wall. So we knew he was a grinder, and that's just the mentality he has. If there's like Gilby up here, it's Ensley right below him, and as far as that, bulldog mentality. So it's not unexpected, and it's just a crazy catch that I think people realize how hard it is, but I don't think like people outside of baseball truly realize how hard that catch is to make.
I asked him after the game, and I'm like, obviously you're reacting, you're doing what you're trained to do. You're not thinking in the moment, right? But I was like, was there a moment when maybe when you caught the ball or maybe when you're about to catch it, like, I need to brace myself, like the ball's coming up? And he was like, well, I felt the dirt on the warning track. He was like, I knew I was close. And so he's like, I knew what was coming. And he just continued on, man. And
Yep.
just a phenomenal play. KT had the big home run. In that game, I felt like whenever KT had that 3 home run, I was like, okay, well, that felt like it was 10 runs. And Kirby came in and got such a huge 3 outs to get to preserve Drew Beam's line. And then, of course, Nate Steed came in and closed things out, and that was awesome. Really good win over North Carolina. And I think Rod Delmonico, I mentioned this several times this week, but I think it's such a great point. Rod Delmonico joined the radio show 99.1 The Sports Animal in Knoxville earlier this week, Josh and Swain. And he was like, look at how Tennessee made North Carolina look. Like, North Carolina's good. Not good, but great. And Tennessee made North Carolina look so pedestrian. So, like, when you're pitching, when you got timely hitting and good defense, you cruise. And you did that against North Carolina. I just think that just shows how good Tennessee is when everything's clicking.
Yeah, and like you said, that's such a good team. And in that game, it was 5-1, but there was no ounce of worry at all. Yeah. We had that game completely under control. And to say that against a team like North Carolina, especially the type of players they have, is pretty cool. Also, just to kind of a side note for some bragging rights, this SEC as a whole went 5-0 against ACC. So, I don't think there's even a conversation about what the best conference in the country is, but that's neither here nor there. No, that like you said, when Tennessee does what it does, and things are coming together right now. Like we've seen briefly throughout the season, but it just the consistency with which everything's coming together. I know we had a little bit of a pitching blip on Friday. But again, that's a mentality thing, being able to come back and support your guys when they do poorly. This Tennessee squad is running on all cylinders right now. And it's so cool to watch them play because they're just playing such good baseball. Everyone's going to make an error here or there. Everyone's going to give up a walk. But the baseball they're playing with, the attitudes they're playing with is unbelievable.
You go to Wednesday. It's Florida State again, 1 win away from punching your ticket to the College World Series Finals. It's Xander, and what more can we say that we haven't already said? The dude is just living high on life right now, pitching his brains out. Somebody's going to sign him. I'm not saying he'll get drafted. Somebody's going to sign him from what he's done this last. Can you speak on that? Like what he's done this last month and a half, he's going to get an opportunity.
Yeah, and the MLB would be silly not to give him an opportunity because, if he'd been doing good but like average good, then I can get it. But what he's done over this stretch of playoffs, when it means the most, when you're under the lights, he's given up 1 earned run. And that's just because he had 2 home runs hit off against him, 2 solo shots. So I think he's showing teams that he's not just, a stock, lefty pitcher, whatever that hits their spots and doesn't throw that hard. He's a guy with a great mentality with get you out pitches that will come after you and just do what you need to do. So I do think he'll get an opportunity. I've always thought it's so hard to read what MLB teams want. Because again, on the flip side, he's a 90-mile-an-hour lefty that's topping 90. So I do think after this run, though, he'll get his opportunity. It'd be really cool to see him get selected as opposed to, let's say, a free agent deal. But we'll definitely see him go to some team somewhere.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the same thing can be said for Cal Stark.
Yeah,
Tony lobbies for him all the time in
I
pressers, but
know.
like again, like what he's done, it's just so much more. I mean, you can't. I mean, he's just a good catcher, and you
Really
always need
is.
those in a farm system. So anyway, we'll talk about that later. But yeah, so Xander Seacrest was cruising. It was very Greg Maddux esque at points in times. I think he went like through 5 and he had like 54 pitches or something. Like it was incredible. Had the 2 solos, they took him out. Still an out away from going to career high, but like his first 36 career starts, Xander went through 6 one time. He's gone through 6 innings, 4 of his last 5 starts. Dude's incredible. So there was that. You had 3 runs in the first inning. Good to see Hunter Inslee have an RBI single in the DH as he's nursing that hammy and that lower body injury. But it was kind of ho hum. It was good pitching again. Good pitching,
Mhm.
timely hitting. Game was never in jeopardy. Kirby pitched well. Snead came on. I mean, it just was what it was. Then here we are getting ready for the College World Series Finals.
Yeah, and it was a kind of unorthodox Tennessee offense that day because not that we weren't scoring runs, but we were just hitting singles like it was death by like a million cuts, and
Yeah.
it was just like single, maybe like an out or something, another single, and we're scoring 2 runs, and then another guy gets on single or double or whatever it is. It was really cool to see. Again, just the variety that this offense gives. It's not just we're a one trick pony and then we have to hit the home run, we have to hit the big hit or whatever. But then also, like you said, it's getting those timely hits. The biggest runs are those scored after the other team scores. And so if like in those instances, you come, they hit 2 home runs. If you go, let's say it was earlier in the game, if you go 3 innings without scoring, the momentum's on their side. What our team has been really, really good at throughout this postseason in general is coming back, scoring after the other team scores, and we saw it. We didn't really need to see it on Sunday, but we definitely saw it yesterday. Just guys grinding for what they need to do. But yeah, it was awesome. And then after the 2 home runs, it was like, okay, this could get out of hand. And then there was the other instance where also Florida State, that one play where it was
Florida
second
State
and
ran
third.
themselves into several
Yeah,
outs on the base paths.
100%. Second and third, no outs. Ground ball to shortstop, gets him at home, and then a double play after. Like that could have gotten dicey really quick. And then the other time when there was a runner at first or second, whatever it was, ball out for Kirby's glove, double play. Like there was that game was so close to getting out of hand, but I guess like something going on. Maybe Tony V sold his soul or something, but it's just great to see him in this 3-game series.
Tennessee's arms, it feels like, is about as positioned perfectly for what's to come. If you go the same way you always go, which I'm sure Tony V will go, I mean, Stom through 8 pitches, of course he'll be ready. Kazi will be ready. They're on an extra day of rest because they pitch Friday, games on Saturday. Beam would be on a normal weeks of rest, and then if it did go to a game 3 and you had to go Xander, he would be on short rest. However, it's the last game of the year. Not saying he'll go throw 6 and a third, but let Xander open, two, 3 innings or whatever if need be. And of course, with Snead and Kirby and all those guys, like they're going to be fresh because you have all these off days. Feels like Tennessee's positioned really, really well. Now let's look at Texas A&M. We know Braden Montgomery's out. We know the other star has got like a hammy right now, but he tried to play through it the other night. He's a really, really good player. So kind of battered a little bit. We know they got Prager, really, really good on the mound. We know their closer has 10 saves, and they've kind of been taking what Tennessee does to an extent on Friday nights and doing that with their one, kind of piecing the bullpen together and let Prager go on 2. But their guy pitched on Wednesday, so I would almost assume that Prager's going to throw on Saturday for sure. But anyway, your thoughts on A&M? I know Tennessee played them in the SEC tournament, but really, really good team, great pitching team, a solid offensive team. They should present a lot of problems, but nothing Tennessee can't handle if it plays well.
Yeah, they're a really good team. And, I know we beat them in the SEC tournament, but playing them in a single game, especially, halfway through a tournament is so much different than playing them on a full 3-game series. Because you don't know what their bullpen was like that first game, whatever. What A&M brings to the table that I think is different than every other team and why they have success just in general is they have an extremely talented core of lefty pitchers. And now that they've always been that way, I always hated playing them because you were going to face, 5, 6, 7 lefties on the weekend as opposed to your normal slot of a bunch of righties. And especially that Ashka Wicken or whatever that guy's name is.
Closer, yeah.
He's doing so good. They do got that big righty Cortez in the back of their bullpen too. It's going to be just a really, really good staff. And what's great about this team, this Tennessee team, is we are not seeming to struggle against lefties like we historically have. So I don't think that'll be too much of an issue. It's just going to be a little bit different from what we've normally seen. But again, they're extremely solid team. They got some really, really big bats in the lineup. And they're going to play really good defense too. They honestly stack up numbers wise as closely to us as any other team in the country would, minus us hitting like 40 more homers than them. But it's good. They're going to be a good team, and they're going to play a really, really good series, extremely well coached. So they're not going to make mistakes, and it's just going to be a grinded out series. Another thing, which again, we don't really have to worry about. They're extremely patient at the plate. So we're going to have to throw strikes and do all this stuff. But either way, we've said it all season. If Tennessee does what it does and what we know it can do, then we shouldn't have much trouble at all.
Two skippers that I wouldn't say are the best of friends, but then again, Tony Vitello, I don't feel like is best of friends with a whole lot of people, but certainly they have history. Certainly they've coached together back in the past and going to be competing against one another in a national championship. I hate, like, I've gotten asked this a couple times a day, and it's just like, well, just play your game. But I'm going to ask you, for Tennessee to become national champions, what's got to happen, man? I mean, who's somebody that's got to pick to click? What phase of the game has got to make sure you show up? What needs to happen for Tennessee to win 2 games this weekend against Texas A&M?
Yeah, I mean, they just got to play like they have been. And it's such a stock answer, but what else are you going to say? Because down the stretch, you were worried about a bullpen. Their bullpen's been rocking. Down the stretch, you were about maybe later in the lineup guys. Later in the lineup guys are coming up with big hits when they need to. And it's like, really, what part of their game is not that good? Even the defense is functioning super well. So, I think if they go out there and another thing, they haven't really seemed nervous at the College World Series. They're kind of checking all the boxes that you want to see out of a team. Trying to win this thing. But yeah, this team needs to do what it does. The pitching staff just needs to keep going. Now, if they had been losing games or something weird was going on, I'd say, hey, do this, do this, do this. But, I'd be happy with another walk-off. I mean, a win's a win. Just keep on doing what you're doing. We're going to see some homers. I'm going to see some clutch hits. You're going to see some conversions of runners. But yeah, it's this team. They don't need to change anything. And I think that is going to give them a lot of confidence going into this final series.
I know we're at the end of this podcast, but I do want to ask you this because I want your 2 cents because I've been asking some a little bit, and I'm so close to it. I cover this team, but it's like, oh, which team could win? 24 versus 22, and not that it matters because it would never happen. But when I think of 2022, and I know fell short of the World Series against Notre Dame, we all know that, but I just think dominance. You guys were just so dominant, almost wire to wire. Just dominant. And then when I think of this team, I'm just like, great, good. And then, but when I look on paper, I'm like, damn, dominant. Right. It's like, oh, they're number 3 in the ERA. Oh, they're this. It's like, oh, offense too. 177 home runs. It's like this team snuck up on you. It's like this team truly is dominant as well. Now, let's see if they finish the job. But again, it's a credit to Tony Vitello and his staff for just churning out all this talent here the last couple of years. I mean, it's more than impressive.
And it's something that I think about a lot too. I don't know about average wise, but they're a lot better than us at least offensively. This offense, I think, is the best offense Tennessee has ever had. Now, it is weird to say just in a year where so many home runs were hit. I want to see if we would have scaled up, at this age. I do think that 2022 team wins just because it was dominance on both sides of the ball like you've never seen before. Just that staff, not only with winning pitchers, but they were gunslingers. We had Burns up to 100. Dolly was up to 98. Beam at that point was 93, 94. And it was just almost like a mountain coming down on you. And the offense was putting up, 10, 11 runs a game. And we were showboating a little bit. So it would make you feel sad. So it was all these things came together, and it put this aura around that team of holy moly, best team in Tennessee baseball history. But I think if this team wins the Natty, then it will go down as maybe the best. I don't even know. It's just so hard to compare because we lost in 2022, so who knows? But either way, both teams great. I love the announcers talking about 2022 because it makes me feel all good inside. But either way, this 2024 team is, like you said, it's almost this 2024 team is the Dreiling of Tennessee baseball, where they're having such a phenomenal year, but it's almost unnoticed because of the other guys around them.
100%. That is such a great analogy. It's like all he's doing is just kicking A, and like, you know, it's like, oh, well, but anyway, yeah, I mean, literally national championship. It's going to be hard not to say you're the best team ever. But again, testament to Tony V and you guys for building it. And we'll see if this team can finish it, man. I know you'll be watching, and appreciate you again, as always, joining us here on the porch. We've done it every week since mid-February. It's been fun. A lot of great feedback. Everybody loves hearing from you. So as long as you want to do it, as long as I'm covering baseball, man, we'll chop it up. And great job as always. We'll see if Tennessee can finish the job this weekend. All right.
Yeah, I can't believe it's finally here, but it's always a pleasure, and I really do enjoy doing this. Living almost vicariously through what we talk about. So it's awesome, and good luck to them Vols.
One of these days, I'm going to get you in a broadcast booth, man. You're going to be a great color. All right, we're going to do that.
I would love that. I'd like to actually speak into a mic instead of a camera.
All right, Luke. Appreciate it as always, buddy. Thanks so much.
Of course.
Great stuff as always from VFL Luke Lipcius right here on the porch. And as always, thank you to our proud sponsors, Spivey King and Spivey LLP, for making this all possible. Big time Tennessee fans. They are great Tennessee fans just like you and me. Matthew A. Spivey, J. Matt King, Richard A. Spivey. You got a problem? Let them find a solution for you. That's TN Trial Lawyers, specializing in criminal defense, family law, personal injury. If you have a need, you can get a free consultation by dialing 423-245-4185. That is 423-245-4185, or visit them online at SpiveyKingandSpiveyLLP.com. Can't thank my friends over at Spivey King and Spivey LLP enough for being the presenting sponsor all year long right here on the porch. Okay, can't thank you guys enough for tuning in. I know you guys are always saying, hey, when are you, Luke, going to drop another one? When's the porch going to be coming out? Appreciate you guys watching. Appreciate you guys consuming this. It's awesome. I enjoy doing it, like talking to Luke and learning things just like you do. Let's see if Tennessee can finish the job, man. National championship. Wouldn't that be something? Of course, we'll be over at Volquest.com, Game Threads, the GQ. You can find me on the X at _Caner. I'm here covering it, guys. Any questions you guys have, I will try my best to answer them to the best of my knowledge. Thanks so much, guys, and enjoy the weekend. Let's see if Tennessee can be a natty champion. This is Volquest.com right here on the porch.